What do all of these items have in common? Large platters, big glassware sets, Christmas ornaments, mugs. Because at one point I would have brought every single one of them home. But now I walk right past them, not because they're bad items, but because they come with more than they seem to at first. Now, one day I was looking at my sales from the first year or so that my shop was open. I made a list of items that I no longer sell in my shop, really thinking about why I no longer sell those items. Well, 3 clear groups emerged, and realizing those has made my sourcing decisions so much easier, and the third group of items just might surprise you. Today, I'm going to walk through what I learned when it came to groups of items that I no longer source for my shop and why. Hi, I'm Carol, and I have a vintage shop on Etsy called V Vintage Collectibles. When you first start sourcing, a lot of things feel like they could work, and honestly, some of them do, at least for a while. But what I started noticing was it's not just about whether something can sell, it's about what that item requires from you, from me, before it ever gets to the customer. I didn't fully understand that in the beginning, because what that really means is some items cost you more in time, space, effort, and risk than they're actually worth. So over time, I didn't just refine what I look for. I started letting go of certain groups of items altogether. And when I really broke this down, it didn't come to categories or trends. It came down to 3 very practical decisions. Is it manageable? Does it fit my timeline? And does it fit me? And that's a grouping that will probably surprise you. So stick with me. Now let's start with that manageability issue first. I used to pick these up. Large platters, sets of glasses, salad bowl sets, larger wall pieces, in other words, large, heavy, and some quite fragile pieces. And the thing is, there's nothing wrong with those items. They can be beautiful and they do sell. But what I started noticing was everything about them just seemed like too big of a burden. They take up more space, they're harder to store, and when it comes time to ship, there's just more that can go wrong. And I found myself thinking, oh, I hope this gets there okay. And I don't want to run my shop that way. I don't want to feel dread when something sells. I realized this wasn't just about the item, it was about everything that came with it. And once I stopped bringing home those large items that took oversized boxes, way too much in the way of packing materials, and also required a lot of fretting over in terms of, are they going to break when I ship them? Everything just felt lighter, easier to manage, easier to move through. But large breakable items is not the only group of inventory that I let go of. Another group of items that I realized I was no longer sourcing for my shop was really most seasonal items. Now, if you're new here, I live in Florida in the winter and Michigan in the summer. And except for a few items that I take back and forth with me, I have inventory in both places that I don't take back and forth. I deactivate the Michigan inventory when I come to Florida and activate the Florida inventory, and I deactivate the Florida inventory when I go back to Michigan and reactivate the Michigan inventory. It's a little complicated. So because of my inventory setup, I don't activate my Christmas inventory until October when we arrive in Florida. And activating my Christmas inventory in October only gives me about 9 or 10 weeks before I put my shop on vacation to go home for Christmas. So that works okay for giftable items, and I do sell quite a few little ceramic items that are Christmas seasonal decor, but functional seasonal items require a completely different timeline, a really short timeline because of when I can activate them in my shop. That also goes for other seasonal items like Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, and Thanksgiving items. They have such a short selling season that it just doesn't make sense for me to keep sourcing seasonal items. I don't want to waste my sourcing budget on items that have such a short selling season. So I have changed what I source in terms of seasonal items, eliminating most of them from my sourcing shopping list. Now, once I aligned that, my inventory started working with me instead of against me, but there was also one more group of items that I don't sell in my shop anymore. Now, this third group is probably the most personal. It's anything that just doesn't fit me or doesn't fit the collection that I carry in my shop. I didn't used to think that mattered. I thought if it could sell, I should probably learn about it, source it, and list it. But in reality, what I have learned is if I don't understand it or I don't enjoy it, that fact shows up everywhere. Now, textiles is a really good example for me. I've tried a few, but I don't know enough about them. I don't have a natural appreciation for them. They're harder to store, especially in humid climates, and they just don't feel like part of what I do. The same with resin pieces. I don't source those anymore. And the same with mugs, and I'm just going to say it, I don't like mugs. I don't like looking at mugs in thrift stores or antique stores. I don't like mugs. I used to think that it didn't matter, but it does, because when you don't like something, you're less interested in learning about it, in pricing it, in describing it, and listing it, and that makes it less appealing to potential customers and way less likely to sell. So now, if something doesn't fit my collection, or it doesn't feel like something I would naturally want to work with, I don't try to force it. I just leave it. So when I think about this all together, it's not really about the items, it's about the role they play in my shop. Over time, I've realized that I wasn't just choosing inventory, I was deciding what I wanted my work in my shop to look like. And now, almost everything I pick up runs through those same three questions. Is it manageable? Does it fit my timeline? And does it fit me? If you're sourcing right now, this is something you might want to pay attention to. Not just what you're excited to buy, but what tends to make things harder later on in your shop. Because sometimes the biggest improvements in our shops don't come from finding better items, they come from letting certain things go. You get to decide what those are for your shop, just like I get to decide what those are for mine. For me, this has made my shop simpler, more predictable, and honestly a lot more enjoyable to run. Drop a comment below. What is something that you just don't want to carry in your shop? Maybe it's something you don't like. It'll be fun to see what everyone's thoughts are. Thanks for being here today.